Christopher uncovers his father-in-law's dark secret. 10:23 p.m. Pembroke Pines. I never thought a Friday night could feel so heavy. My name's Christopher, I'm 20, and I married into a family that everyone said was perfect, but perfection is a way of rotting from the inside out. I was at my in-laws' house trying to enjoy a casual dinner with my wife, Mia, when I noticed that my father-in-law, Harold, refusing water and glancing nervously at the cabinet every few minutes. "Dad, you okay?" Mia asked, her fork paused midair. Harold's hand shook slightly as he reached for the wine glass. "Just a long week, that's all." But it wasn't just a long week. I'd seen this before: the trembling hands, the red-rimmed eyes, the way he laughed too loudly to cover something. I thought about speaking up, but Mia's smile made me hesitate. I didn't want to ruin the evening yet. Later, in the kitchen, I saw it, a half-empty bottle hidden behind the canned beans. My stomach sank. This was more than casual drinking. I quietly set it back, hoping no one noticed, but the thud of the glass seemed louder than the laughter in the living room. I asked myself, do I confront him now, or do I wait? Then I heard the first threat disguised as a joke. "Harold," swearing slightly, "Christopher, you think you know everything about money? Just wait till you have bills stacked up to your ears." A chill ran down my spine. He wasn't just drunk, he was dangerous when cornered. And something told me that this wasn't the last I'd see of his little secrets. As I left that night, I noticed a folder sticking out from the bottom drawer of the sideboard. I didn't touch it, but the curiosity clawed at me. My first instinct was to leave it alone, but the idea that my father-in-law might be hiding something bigger than just bottles of whiskey made me second-guess every polite smile I'd forced that evening. By the time I got home, I couldn't shake the feeling that Pembroke Pines was no longer the quiet, safe town I'd thought it was. And somehow, Harold had already dragged me into his chaos without me even realizing it. Saturday at 2:15 p.m. I couldn't stop thinking about that folder. Mia was at work, and the house felt heavier than usual. I tried to focus on chores, but every creak of the floorboards made me jump. By mid-afternoon, curiosity overpowered caution. I grabbed the folder from the sideboard. Inside were receipts, dozens of them, from liquor stores scattered across Pembroke Pines. The totals made my jaw drop: $4,200 in the last 3 months alone. But it wasn't just spending. Some receipts were for cash withdrawals, ATM slips that didn't match his income. Harold wasn't just drinking, he was stealing, or worse, gambling. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Mia: "Lunch with Dad, he wants to talk." I debated leaving it, but I had to know what kind of man my father-in-law really was. I met them at Sunset Cafe, the one near Pembroke Pines Mall. Harold waved me over with that forced grin that never reached his eyes. "Christopher, glad you could join us, big news," he said. But the smell of whiskey lingered faintly on his breath. Sitting across from him, I felt the tension I couldn't ignore. "What news?" I asked cautiously. He leaned in, lowering his voice. "You know, family can be complicated. Money, trust, secrets." Mia, unaware of the folder, reached for his hand. "Dad, not here." I could feel my pulse quicken. Harold's eyes flicked to me, and suddenly I understood he wasn't just nervous about drinking, he was hiding something bigger, something dangerous. And judging by the way he shifted in his chair, he knew I might already suspect. The conversation started normal, but the subtle threats became clearer. "Christopher, you're young. You think you know what's best for me. Be careful, son." I sipped my coffee, trying to mask my fear. "I just want what's best for her." Harold smirked. "Funny, sometimes what's best comes with a price." I didn't know it yet, but that price wasn't just financial, it was going to hit every part of our family. Later that evening, when we returned home, Mia asked if I wanted to play a board game with her younger brother, Jake. I nodded, but my mind kept replaying the receipts, the slurred warnings, the threats. I realized something chilling. Harold wasn't just battling alcohol. He was fighting control, and now, whether I liked it or not, I was part of the battlefield. And just as I went to bed that night, I noticed a note slipped under the bedroom door. No signature, just 3 words: "Watch your back. Sunday, 7 a.m. Sleep didn't come easy." The note haunted me: "Watch your back." I couldn't shake the feeling Harold was always 2 steps ahead. May tried to reassure me over breakfast. "Christopher, maybe it's nothing. Dad he has his quirks." I looked at her, wanting to believe her words, but the receipts and the folder told a different story. "Mia, I found something yesterday. Your dad's been spending thousands on alcohol, and some of it doesn't add up." Her fork froze midair. "What? Chris, you can't just accuse him like that." I sighed. "I'm not accusing, I'm concerned, and he's already hinting at, well, threatening me in his own way." Before she could respond, Jake, her younger brother, burst into the kitchen. "Chris, Dad was yelling last night. Mom tried to stop him, but his voice faltered. "He said he knows you've been snooping." My stomach dropped. Snooping? He didn't know I'd opened the folder, did he? Or was this just another part of his manipulation? Later, I went over to Harold's study under the pretense of borrowing a book. The room smelled faintly of bourbon, lined with half-empty bottles. I noticed a locked drawer in his desk. On top, a photo of me as a toddler with Harold smiling behind her. Something about it I couldn't place. I tried to open the drawer, but it was secure. Then, a crumpled note slipped from the back of the photo. If you love her, stay quiet or regret it. A shiver ran down my spine. This was no longer about alcohol or money, it was about power. Harold had always controlled everything, from his business to the family narrative, and now I was a threat. I spent the rest of the afternoon talking to Mia about boundaries. She reluctantly agreed I needed to be cautious, but insisted. He's my dad, I can't just cut him out. But as the sun dipped below Pembroke Pines, I saw Harold watching from the porch across the street, holding a glass, smiling faintly. I realized something terrifying. Every move I made, he was anticipating it. And whatever secrets lay in that drawer, it wasn't just numbers. It was leverage, and he was ready to use it. That night, I received a call from an unknown number. A voice, distorted, said, "Christopher, you're in too deep. Some debts can't be undone." Then it clicked. This wasn't just Harold playing games. Someone else was involved. I hung up, my hand shaking. Family I thought I knew was unraveling. And in Pembroke Pines, the shadows of hidden bottles and older grudges were growing longer, reaching for me. Monday, 8:42 p.m. I couldn't shake the call from the night before. Someone else? I paced my apartment in Pembroke Pines, the folder spread out on the coffee table. Then, a knock at the door, soft but deliberate. I opened it to find a man in his 40s, sharp suit, briefcase in hand. "Christopher Taylor?" "Yes, who are you?" "I represent Harold." His voice was calm, almost too calm. "We need to discuss family finances privately." Something about him set off alarms. I reluctantly let him in. He opened the briefcase, pulling out a thick stack of documents, all detailing debts, unpaid loans, and contracts. My jaw dropped. Harold owed over $250,000, some to dangerous people. But here's the twist. Buried in the papers was my name, connected to a loan I had never taken. You can't put my name on this," I stammered. "Your father-in-law has ways," the man said coldly. "He's using the family trust, your wife's inheritance, everything. If he falls, he'll take everyone down with him." I sank into the couch, overwhelmed. Mia's voice echoed in my mind. He's my dad, I can't just cut him out. But the reality was worse. Harold wasn't just drunk or secretive, he was orchestrating a financial trap, and I had just stepped into it. A sudden realization hit me. The hidden drawer, the threats, the notes, it wasn't random intimidation. Harold had been systematically isolating anyone who might oppose him. The folder, the receipts, the ATM slips, they were bait to test me, see how far I'd dig. The man leaned closer. "Christopher, he's unstable, and when the bottles run dry, his patience does too. He's capable of actions most would consider unforgivable." My hands trembled. "What actions?" Then my phone buzzed. A message from Mia. "Dad just called. He wants to meet at the marina. He said it's urgent. Don't bring anyone." I looked at the stack of documents, the threat in every line, and knew I couldn't ignore it. But something inside me screamed this wasn't just a conversation. This was a trap, and Pembroke Pines would witness the fallout. The twist hit me fully then. Harold's alcoholism wasn't the root problem. It was a tool he wielded to control, manipulate, and trap us. And I was about to face the most dangerous version of my father-in-law yet. I stepped outside, the humid night air hitting my face, and for the first time, fear wasn't the only thing racing through me. It was clarity. And clarity came with a price. Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. The marina was deserted except for a single lamp flickering near the dock. I could see Harold's silhouette waiting by his boat, the faint smell of whiskey lingering in the night air. My heart pounded, but I couldn't back down, not now. "Christopher," he called as I approached. His voice was almost normal, but the tremor betrayed him. "Glad you came alone. I have things to explain." I clenched my fists. I explained what? Harold, the debts, the threats, the lies. He sighed, rocking slightly on his heels. "I made mistakes. I've depended on the bottle too much. But there's more. Your little discovery, those receipts, they're only half the story." I frowned. "Half the story? What do you mean?" He gestured to the water, eyes dark. "There's money missing from the family trust, about $120,000. I borrowed it, thought I could fix things, but the creditors are pressing, and if I don't pay, Mia's inheritance is at risk." I froze. "You stole from your own family?" His gaze hardened. "Borrowed. I'll pay it back, but I can't do it without help, and I know you know too much." My mind raced. He wasn't just drunk, he was cornered, desperate, and dangerous. This wasn't about bottles anymore, it was blackmail, manipulation, and desperation all wrapped into one man. Suddenly, I heard a muffled shout behind me. Turning, I saw Jake sprinting toward us. "Dad, what are you doing?" Harold's hand twitched toward the briefcase on the dock. "Stay back." I stepped between them. "This ends now, Harold. No more secrets, no more threats." Harold laughed, bitter and raw. "You think it's that easy? You've stumbled into a world you don't understand. One wrong move and everything your wife, your peace disappears." The tension was unbearable. I realized he wasn't just threatening me with words. He was capable of putting the family's safety on the line, manipulating everyone's fears. I spoke carefully, keeping my tone calm but firm. If you hurt anyone, Harold, I will expose everything. The debts, the threats, the drinking, all of it. He paused, eyes flickering with something between fear and rage. You don't know what you're saying. Some truths aren't meant to be uncovered. A sudden splash from the water behind him caught my attention. He hadn't noticed the incoming tide was hitting the dock faster than usual. One misstep, and he'd be in the water exposed, with the documents wet and useless. And that's when I understood it wasn't just about money or control. It was survival. Harold's world, his power, was crumbling, and I was the one holding the balance between ruin and revelation. Tuesday, 5 p.m. The tension at the dock had reached a breaking point. Harold teetered dangerously on the edge of the wooden planks, the briefcase inches from the water. Jake shouted, dead, step back, but Harold just laughed, a mix of drunkenness and defiance. I won't be trapped, he slurred. This family, they think they know me, but they don't, not a damn thing. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my own fear in check. Harold, listen to me, you're scaring me, you're scaring Jake, you're scaring me. This ends tonight, or someone gets hurt. He glanced at me, eyes wild. You think you can control me, you, 20 years old, married to my daughter, trying to play hero? Maybe I am, I said firmly. But I'm not letting you destroy everyone we love. That's when the twist hit. Harold's hand darted into the briefcase and pulled out a stack of photos. My stomach turned. They weren't just pictures of family events, they were pictures of me, Mir, and Jake over the last year. Some were taken without our knowledge at the park, the grocery store, even through our living room window. You've been watching us, I shouted. He smirked, a dangerous glint in his eye. I've always watched to protect the family, or punish those who betray me. Jake stepped forward, trembling. Dad, what are you talking about? This isn't protection, it's blackmail. Harold's smile faltered for a moment. Maybe, but now you understand. Power isn't given, it's earned. The briefcase teetered again on the dock's edge. I realized then that Harold had been spiraling further than I imagined. His alcoholism wasn't just a weakness, it had become a weapon, a tool to intimidate, manipulate, and control. I whispered under my breath, this ends tonight. Suddenly, the dock creaked ominously. Harold froze, staring at the incoming wave slapping against the wood. One wrong step, and everything, the debts, the threats, the photos would be ruined. Mir arrived, panting, her eyes wide. Harold stopped vessel. For a heartbeat, the world felt frozen. The tide, the threat, the family's fear, and Harold's desperation all collided in a single, tense moment. And then he made a move that none of us expected. Tuesday, 12 p.m. The dock creaked louder as Harold stumbled backward, clutching the briefcase and the stack of photos. Panic flushed across his face as the tide hit a weak plank, and with a wet crack, he plunged into the churning water. I didn't hesitate. Without thinking, I dove in after him. The cold shock made my lungs burn, but I managed to grab his arm just as he struggled, coughing up water. Pulling him toward the dock, I realized the full weight of what had just happened, not just physically, but emotionally. When we finally got him onto solid wood, he lay there, soaked and shivering, eyes wide in shock. Christopher, you saved me, he gasped. I looked him in the eye. I saved you, yes, but you're done, Harold. No more threats, no more control. Your family deserves better than this. He opened his mouth to argue, but Mia's voice cut through sharply from the edge of the dock. Dad, we love you, but we won't live in fear anymore. This ends now. Harold's shoulders slumped. For the first time, the bravado, the alcohol-fueled manipulation, the hidden debts, all of it felt like it was crumbling. He whispered, almost inaudibly, I don't know how to stop. You start by being honest, I said, helping him to sit up. We'll get help, Harold. Alcohol rehab, financial counselling, the photos, the debts, we'll fix it together, but only if you're willing. He nodded, tears mingling with the rain that had begun to fall. I'll try, I swear. The night in Pembroke Pines felt colder, yet somehow lighter. The storm of secrets, threats, and manipulation had passed, leaving raw truth and the fragile chance of redemption. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. But as my hoped father and Jake joined us, I realized the most important thing. Family could survive even the darkest betrayals, if someone had the courage to confront the truth. And as we walked back from the marina, dripping and exhausted, I couldn't help but think Harold's dependence on alcohol had almost destroyed us, but tonight, it had also exposed the lies. And sometimes, facing the darkness is the only way to finally see the light.